Hello and welcome to another video. This time we are covering a blood deck. This one isn't insanely powerful, but was definitely more interesting. So, I've seen this deck float around a little bit lately. It does only run one waltz, which is interesting. I thought that was weird, but I only have one, so I thought why not give it a go. It does seem to rely on some Evo mechanics as well as hand buff to really get these Storm sort of followers up and out, while also taking advantage of whatever you can, like Lycos Berserker, to get easy vengeance. But I found overall it was a very hit and miss deck, and that was a little disappointing, so we're going to get right into it and check it out. So I unfortunately found myself a lot of the time really struggling with getting this off the ground, and that was the real big problem. I could get very, very close to lethal, but then lose the following turn, which was always probably my worst nightmare. It could have come down to just lack of experience playing this deck. Even when hand buff blood was getting reasonably popular, I still was struggling with it in the rotation format when it first started popping up, and it just never felt good to play. I always defaulted back originally to Dark Feast Bat, as it was just more solid of a deck. So it could definitely be that I just don't play this deck very well. Of course, I had to go more aggressive this turn. That is why I played out the 2-drop that I wouldn't normally play out. I really just wanted to, force the Shadow player, knowing they're probably playing mid-Shadow. I couldn't risk it. So, Furfor, going for, of course, the Dark General play. That's what you want. This hand, though, isn't exactly great. It definitely is going to suffer hard. The turn, that's not a bad turn 4. I mean, with the Evo, that is 5 damage and a 5/5, so it's respectable. I could have, of course, done better if I could have taken advantage of Vengeance, but I'm not in a situation where I can pick and choose how to play Vengeance. Fortunately, they did concede, but again, this was the kind of stuff that would happen. You would get the early concede when they'd give up, but that was about it. It was really difficult to recover from that. So overall, I don't expect this video to be really crazy, because as you saw with that first game, this deck is really just super awkward, and unfortunately that seems to be a problem. I think it's very, very brick orientated. If you end up bricking any time in the early game, you can almost guarantee you're going to lose against most unlimited decks. This deck may perform well in lower ranks, but definitely up higher it struggles, so no shock there. But again, we're covering interesting decks right now. We're not trying to cover anything, too crazy. It doesn't have to be exceptionally good. I'm just trying to branch out and cover whatever I kind of can while the meta is very stale at this point, with no real change, no shifts coming for a little while still. We're going to want to, of course, shake things up with just trying different things. So I went for the Furfor, probably not the right play, but the one that I decided to take. I wanted to accentuate my board presence while at the same time being able to deal with whatever my opponent might play. Unfortunately, they again had a pretty optimal hand, making it very difficult to recover from. At least we're going to have another decent play, I guess. Really, all I can do is just keep pumping this follower up, since it is the only blood follower in my hand. So Hellblaze Demon, they're going for their own. See, this is really an interesting one. Like, I assume they're playing just damage blood, because it's definitely a weird thing to see that combination of cards on its own. Now we finally get to see the Dark General. It's definitely going to cost me some health, of course, doing this, but I think I made the right choice. But it doesn't matter how I deal with this board, it has to definitely take some damage. Double Goblin is not the funnest thing to see, but at least, they're pretty much guaranteed to lose that one Goblin there, and that's really what we need. And our turn 5 is pretty decent, so at least we have that going for us right now. And they are in the top deck stages, provided they don't have something like Dark Feast Bat in their hand, it should be okay, although that Unleashed Nightmare definitely makes things rougher. Alright, so we're down to 8 health, putting us just below Vengeance. And that actually, I think, does give us lethal. Just that Dark General play working out in the end for an exact 12 damage. At least that makes me a little happier. So I wanted to cover a bit more of this deck. Unfortunately, there really isn't much to say. The only good game was that last one, like you saw. Every other game was either very, very close like that, where I'd be in a situation where I could literally die if I didn't have the exact card I needed, and most of the time I would just lose because of the lack of draw. Not having what you need really does cripple your hand quite badly, and Unleashed Nightmare isn't enough to recover this deck, so that's a little disappointing. I'd rather just run a straight up Evo deck and focus on the Destructive Succubus plays than a hand buff Succubus sort of deck, so that's definitely one way to do things. But if you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more content. You'll find deck lists in the description below. Until next time guys, see ya.